helpful. So let's hop over to our next new feature item. Okay, our next new capability is the Smart Annotation capability. Now this is an add-on license that can be purchased, and once you have it purchased, you can enable it under our Tools options. You'll see an option on our General tab to enable Smart Annotation license capability. Once enabled, you can now add attachment points at the assembly level, part level, feature level to be very precise on where you want annotations to appear. For example, on my assembly level, you can see some attachment points created here, and these are all my dimension ones that I'm using to define where I want specific annotations to appear for my assembly level. I can also go down to my part level. Let me hold down here and go down to my part level. You'll see attachment points there as well. So this has a different set of dimensions that don't interfere with the other one, so I can get specific drawings for my parts and my assemblies. Now the nice thing about these attachment points is that you can put them on the feature level. So if you have patterns, like this geometry has patterns, if it changes and new elements come on, your attachment points can move and create additional attachment points to pick up those new shapes. So let's go ahead and show you how we use this. So to create this on the drawing, to get those annotations to appear, you can use your normal create drawings inside of IronCAD, or the bulk view creation process, or even our common components. You can intermix any one of those and still make use of this. In our case, I'm going to use a bulk view creation, and I already have some templates defined. So I'm going to go ahead and select my default template for my assembly. And I have one already created for my part level. And as you can see down here on my part, I already have it enabled and have it set up to use that as a template. And I'm going to use internal here for my files, because one of these, my part file is actually an external link. I'm going to use internal, and I'm going to tell it to use my main scene for this. And I'm going to go ahead and run the bulk view creation. So let's go ahead and create my annotations for me. And you'll see that it creates both my assembly and my part drawings. And notice it does a very good job of this. So it actually, all these ordinate dimensions that it gets created is done by the attachment points inside of here. I also have view dimensions in here, so I can intermix my templates with view-based dimensions inside of here. I can also intermix it with auto dimensions. So this is an auto dimension creating my whole call out with a maximum quantity, which if you look at my sheet setup, you'll see that I have that enabled for that count to work for the drawing template. If I go to my assembly drawing, notice it's got a different set of dimensions. And notice it handles the power of this is you can actually control which dimensions appear where. So in this one I have my dimensions that are going along my bottom. On this one I have my vertical dimensions going on the top. So you can actually control and precisely control these for various options, whether you want to enable these. You also have options to control on your dimensions which ones will be created on a particular view. So a lot of power in this, and it also intermixes, like I said, with existing things like our ordinate dimensions, or sorry, our overview dimensions, where they'll actually automatically position and space based on your dimensions placement. So you can have your attachment point dimensions, transfer dimensions, and overall view dimensions, and they'll automatically be spaced with related to each other in this command. So that's a very nice, powerful tool, and that's on each individual view that you can control that. You can also see that it automatically transferred a call out. So you can actually have catalogs. For example, if I go to my catalog sets here and say open, more catalogs, I have one called My Annotations, which is this default one that actually pulls information from the custom property. And it populates that based on what it's the geometry that it's on, and it positions it in an exact location where I want it. So that can automatically be created with these annotations or these smart annotation capabilities. So this is a very powerful tool that you can get very precise drawings and just make minor modifications. So for example, if we go back to my other sheet, maybe I only have to make some modifications to move these out to get the references here to look the way I want them. That's exactly how my dimensions, and I'm ready to go. So I don't have to do a whole lot of annotations after the fact using this capability. So you might ask, well, how do you create this? So let's go ahead and just do a simple file on how to do this. So let's go ahead and toggle back to our scene. And what I'm going to do is just going to show you how to create this. So we'll create one at the part level just to show you. So just by reference, this part down here, it has its own annotations, and you can see that it's got a certain name on there. So it's called dim ordinate dimension here, for example. It also has other ones. If I go over to where my origin dimension is, I have one sitting over here. Notice it has a different name. It's got a lot more variables on it. It's kind of hard to see here. I'll show you this in a second. But I just want to show you that there's an origin dimension, and then you can have your point dimensions to be used in your file. So let's go ahead and just open up another file to show you how to create this. So I'm just going to use a simple part to demonstrate this. So to create these annotations, it's very simple. It's making use of our existing attachment point capability. So we'll go into our tools. We have our part selected. We'll do an attachment point. I'm going to put a point up here at the top. and it's going to tell me I just want to enable it so I can see it. That's fine. And I'm going to go into the names. Now how this works is you can give these things a name. For example, I'm just going to call this dim, for example. This is just our normal attachment point behavior, and you can use these settings if you want to use those, but that's not where the power comes in. These are controlled down here in the custom properties, where you have the catalog item, which is that text with leader, and this is your dimension group. So if we want to create that dimension group, again, we'll call that dim, and we're going to go ahead and hit add. And notice this time it says there's no ordinate dimensions in the scene. Do you want to go ahead and create this? And this ordinate dimension settings are basically, it's not just ordinate dimensions, it's any type of dimension. So you can have baseline dimensions, you can have chain dimensions, however you want to do this. So for our case, we want to do an upper dimension, and we want to do one on the left in this case. So just to show you some of the differences on here, let's make this on the upper left as well. So we've got these two dimensions on here, and let's not use ordinate dimension, let's do a baseline dimension, for example. And we'll go ahead and set this and hit OK. Just to note, these are some more powerful options. So for example, if you're using a part that has maybe an overall view dimension on it, you may not want to show the last dimension in your dimension set. If you have one on the endpoint, for example, because you already have an overall dimension, so you can turn that off. You can also ignore some if you have certain elements that you don't need to have those last elements, like in a pattern set, for example. You may not need those. You can ignore some of those as well. So it's a little bit more power in this, but this can be used to set up really unique dimension constraints. So notice this is what I meant before. This is the long dimension that we talked about. So that's going to create our origin for our part. So this is where our origin is going to be set. And now we need to create other dimensions to refer to this. So you can reuse this one or create another one out here. So I'm going to create one here, for example. Same thing. We're going to name that in this case, and you'll see a difference here. So again, I'll just name it dim up here just for my reference. And if I go back to my group, and now if I type in that dim again and hit add, notice it just adds it. It already knows there's an origin out there, so it won't recreate another one for you in that set, which is really nice. And then you can reuse these. So again, I can go to my part, get to my attachment point, right click and drag and stick that in the catalog, and now I can use it anywhere I want. So for example, I'm going to go down to this feature, and these are linked. So notice when I put this on here, this will actually apply to all those since they're linked. This is the same thing for patterns. So if another pattern element came in, it would actually create another one in there. So that's how those dimensions can automatically appear inside of here. So we've got those created, and let's just create one down here on the bottom as well. So we'll get our origin, our locations here. So we should have some that create this direction and some that create this direction. So now if we run our bulk view creation or just create our view, so let's just run the bulk view creation for this particular guy. We'll just do from our part that we have selected. We're going to go ahead and select that template inside of here. And we don't need to use this setting at all. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And now we'll create a new drawing inside of here. And you'll see now our annotations are automatically created. Okay, so we told it to go in the upper left, and we went down from that over to that way. So that's how it creates those annotations for us in our model inside of here. So we'll hit update view. You can see these will always update. So even if you move these, for example, if I move this one up, when you hit update all views, this is a set, so it recreates that set, and we'll reposition that there for you. So that's how your baseline dimensions would work in this case, because it's using those as a starting point and just creating those. If you had a ordinate dimension, it would put the ordinate dimension here and move it along the top in that case. So you can powerfully control those inside of here. So for example, if we go back, we'll change our origin definition. So we'll go here and we'll modify that. Yes, we want to change those. Let's change it to ordinate. Hit OK. Hit OK. Now if we go back to our drawing and do an update on all views, now we change it to ordinate dimensions. So a very powerful tool. You can change those out on the fly like that. You store your attachment points in your catalogs. We use those for various settings. And just one note that we did do, if you go to your catalog sets and go into your scene, we did create a catalog in here. Let's see if I need to modify. There we go. The smart annotation attachment. So if you open this up, this one gives you a good starter set. So you have upper left, lower left, some starting points here. It's not all of them, but a very large set in here. And this is like that second dimension set there. So these are all using those names if you click in here. So you have an ordinate, baseline, chain, ordinate right. So it gives you some ones that you can use here to set in as your starting points. If you don't want to go and create these from scratch, you can build your own sets like this. We did provide this so you can use this, and you can take a look at those if you like to use those as a starting point, as a reference, and then you can modify going forward. But again, this is a very cool and very powerful tool. That's why we're charging this as an add-on to it, because it can add a lot of value and save a lot of time on your drawing creation, especially if you're doing configurable parts. this will speed up that process as well. So this is the smart annotation capability. Let's go